Have you ever looked around at your life and thought, how did I get here? How did I end up in the place that I'm in? Not in a dramatic way or a burnt out way, but just a quiet awakening inside of you where it almost feels like you're inhabiting a life that you're not actually living. And maybe nothing's actually wrong. Not in a really negative sense, but something just feels off. You're functioning, you're responsible, you've adapted. Most people don't notice this feeling right away. It can take a very long time, in fact. They explain it away, they stay busy, they keep going because they think that's what they're supposed to do. But once you notice it, it opens a door that never fully closes again. And here's the part I want to say clearly. Doesn't mean that you failed. It usually means you learned how to survive. A lot of us didn't consciously choose our lives. We adjusted. We adjusted to what was expected, what was needed, and maybe even what felt safest at the time. And that adaptation can carry you far until one day it doesn't anymore. I remember when this actually happened to me. I was laying in bed trying to go to sleep one night after another long, stressful day in my mortgage career, and I just kept tossing and turning. I kept feeling like something just didn't feel right. And I sat with it for hours, it seemed, and it was almost as if a voice that didn't feel like my own rose from within me, perhaps even my soul. And it said, "What are you doing?" And I thought to myself, I don't really know. On the surface, I have a successful career. I'm in a loving relationship for the first time in my life with someone who really cares about me. My daughter is doing well. My older children are thriving in their lives. I have a nice home, great car. I go on vacations. But yet, something still felt like it wasn't right. I had to ask myself, what's going on here? Why am I feeling this way? Why can I not seem to shake this feeling? And finally, something within me said, something has to change. This isn't the life that you're meant to live. You're just existing. You're still not living. And so after I sat with that for a bit, I said to myself, okay, well, what do I want? If this isn't the life I'm supposed to lead, what do I want? And my mind went blank. And I was so frustrated with myself. At that time, I'm, in my 40s, early 40s. And, I think when we're young, we think that we're supposed to have it all figured out by then, family, the career, and, start planning for retirement. And here I was thinking about blowing my entire life up. And it wasn't from this place of lack, wasn't a lack of gratitude for my life. I'm thankful for my life, thankful for my career. I was thankful for my finances. It wasn't a lack of motivation. It wasn't anything other than realizing that my entire life wasn't built on choices that belonged to me. My life was built around being responsible, resilient, dependable. but not around being fulfilled. If that lands somewhere in your body, you're not alone. I want to share something with you that I heard recently that I think explains this feeling better than almost anything else. There was a case study where a group of people were brought into an auditorium and 2 chairs were placed on to the stage. The chair on the left representing the things that you don't want, and the chair on the right representing the things that you do want. And one by one, they were brought up onto the stage, and everyone had to sit in the seat that represented what they didn't want. And so they were asked, tell me about the things that you don't want in your life. And each person could go on and on and on about all the things they didn't want. But when it came time for them to sit in the chair on the right, and they were asked what did they want, they had very few answers, and some had none. They felt shame and embarrassment. They had spent so long orienting around avoidance. They never practiced wanting. Isn't that sad? So this brings me back to the hardest question it seems to answer. And that is, what do I want? If that question makes you freeze or feel guilty, nothing's wrong with you. Going back to my story, I had to come up with a way to answer the question because it plagued me day and night. That voice inside saying, we need to do this different. And this is what I ended up doing to come to the conclusions that I needed to so I could change my life. I didn't try to force clarity because I think that's something that well, at least for me, I'm a problem solver by nature and a fixer from my trauma conditioning. You desperately want the answer. I needed to kind of ease myself into it and open the door gently. Step number 1 for me was to start with relief, not joy, because I didn't understand joy. What I learned is joy doesn't arrive as excitement. It often shows up as relief. So ask yourself, what feels heavy right now? And what feels even slightly relieving? That's where the truth starts. Number 2, pay attention to envy. Envy is not a flaw. It's information. Who do you notice living in a way that's freer than the way that you're living now? Not because you want their life, but because something in them feels alive. That's a big clue. Number 3, remember what drew you in before you began performing, before you learned who to be, before you learned what was acceptable. That part of you isn't gone. 4, practice micro choices. I can't stress this enough. Again, from my own experiences in life, trying to force things, big things, and just the enormity of it would shut me down entirely. And I felt myself freeze. I couldn't function. And then I would shame spiral and become extremely upset with myself and even depressed at times because I just could not get to that big thing. So if you're like that, if big decisions feel overwhelming, start small. What do I want to eat right now? I know that sounds simple, right? But that's the point. Think about, do I want quiet or do I want sound around me? Every small choice teaches your nervous system that you're allowed to have preferences. Number 5, let wanting be undefined. Don't need a plan. You don't need certainty in this moment right now as you're doing it. You don't need all the answers yet. You just need permission. And I know that's hard. Trust me. You just need permission to not shut the question down the moment it appears. I've found that clarity comes after curiosity, not before. I don't care how hard you try. If your life doesn't feel fully like yours yet, doesn't mean you've missed your chance. It means you're waking up. And the best part is you don't have to answer, what do I want for the rest of my life? How about just starting with, what do I want today? And if you want to hear more about my journey, there's this video here. I want you to take a look at that and let me know in the comments how this message landed for you. Tell me what it is that you're struggling with right now. And I just want you to know I read all the comments, and I'm so thankful for everyone that shows up here to watch my videos every week. It means a lot. So thank you. I'll see you in the next one.